Welcome to Beyond the Bubble podcast, featuring monthly talks and updates on Viking men's basketball, where they're at and what they're up to.
All right, we're back. Beyond the Bubble podcast. And today for episode 8, we have Rollie Hochstetler, VCSU men's basketball alum. Really appreciate you being here, Rollie. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be sitting in a chair instead of being on stilts, sand, and sheetrock.
Yeah. We were talking before the show here. So tell us again. Okay, so you're a carpenter, contractor. I'm not sure of the exact title. What do you call yourself?
They both work.
They both work?
Yeah.
Okay. How many years have you been doing that?
Ooh, way too long. 35.
35 years.
Yeah.
How's the body holding up?
Not real good. I'm wearing out.
Yeah, I always ask those questions, especially the people in your profession, but also people that are into masonry. My grandfather was a mason, and there was days where his knees, just like, and my father-in-law was a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
And he's had like a couple knee surgeries, so I always ask those things. And you brought up, it's nice not to be on the stilts. So. But you've been doing drywall for the last, you said 3 weeks to me?
Yeah.
And so you sit on stilts for 3 weeks.
No, I'm not on them all the time. But
Yeah.
you get a lot more done that way, but you get wore out too.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
And there's no hoop there, so I had the stilts I could dunk.
Yeah.
But there's no hoop.
You could have probably dunked without stilts back in the day, right?
Volleyball was easy.
Volleyball was easy?
Yeah.
But
basketball, I had a tougher time.
Because
hands weren't big enough.
Okay.
But I could bounce dunk it.
Bounce dunk it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're kind of like me, the smaller athletic guy that had to have a little help just to get up there, but when you could do it when you had a little help.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's it.
So you've been doing a job over in, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Ypsilanti.
Over by Jamestown.
Over by Jamestown for 3 weeks. And how many square foot were you doing?
It was 10,000 square feet of sheetrock, yeah.
That's a lot of sheetrock.
Hang it, tape it, texture it, paint it. Ooh, let's not talk about work.
Okay. I apologize already. But those things are interesting to me because that's outside of what I do and all that stuff. So I do have to remember to treat my guests better, make sure that they're having a pleasant time in these conversations. But let's get into the fun stuff here. Rollie, what year did you graduate from Valley City State?
82.
1982.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. Wow.
So, and you played during the times of no three-point line then? Or was it just coming about?
Just coming in.
It was just coming in?
Yeah.
So all 4 years, did you have a three-point line?
Yes, I think we did.
Okay. All right. So, but in high school, did you have a three-point line? Okay.
No.
All right. So we're kind of right in that transitionary period.
I think that was about right then in high school, mid-'80s in high school.
Okay.
I think when it came in North Dakota.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Okay. So where did you go to high school?
Wolford, North Dakota.
Wolford, North Dakota. And what was the mascot?
Wolves.
The Wolford Wolves. The Wolford Wolves. That's kind of a tongue twister, right, guys? Can you say that 5 times fast, Mitch? No? Yeah, he's shaking his head no.
Yeah.
Is that a Class B?
Class B.
Class B school?
Small school.
Okay, and it's still Class B to this day, right?
It's not.
It doesn't exist anymore?
No, it's gone.
Okay. I that's why I was kind of asking, because I didn't want to disrespect you in any way, because I haven't heard of it in a while. But let's talk about the Wolford Wolves.
They were their claim to fame, basketball-wise, was 1968 and 69.
Okay.
They lost 2 ball games in 2 years.
Wow.
They lost the state championship to Central Cass.
Okay.
With the big Jerry and Bob Pyle.
Whoa.
Jerry Pyle was like 6'9".
Mm-hmm.
And little Jerry Ford was their point guard.
Wow.
And he was a good ball player.
I know those names a little bit. I don't know. Did they go on to play someplace?
Jerry went to U of M.
Went to the U of M. Okay, that's why I recognize that one, because I'm from Minnesota.
Yeah. And the other guy, Ford, the guard, played at Minot, I think.
Minot State.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember if the other guy played or not, but
okay.
They were tough. So we lost to them in the state championship in '68.
Okay.
And Wolford had 5 guys that were all 6 foot even.
Okay.
Vance Bowersox was their stud.
Whoa, let's talk about that. What was his name? Bowersox?
Vance Bowersox.
Wow, there's a basketball name.
Best ball player ever came out of Wolford.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
6 foot, about a 35-inch vertical.
Wow.
Just a sweet jump shot.
Yeah.
And competitive player.
Yeah.
And all those guys were really competitive. They were, my older brother, was the student manager on that team.
Okay.
Because he had grown up playing hockey. I was born in Minnesota.
Okay.
And we played hockey.
Okay.
If you're in Minnesota, as soon as you learn to walk, you put skates
Yeah,
on.
I know. I fought that fight for a long time growing up in Minnesota. I would always battle hockey as being Minnesota as being the state of hockey. I get it, but also we have a lot of really good basketball that comes out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm always saying that just to throw that little jab out there, especially now that I'm on a podcast. I can throw it out farther.
And I had 2 older brothers that played high school hockey, and they were pretty good at it.
Okay.
I remember in about 3rd grade, they came home from hockey practice one night. They still hadn't had enough hockey.
Okay.
So we had a rink at home. We skated at home.
Okay.
And they said, "You're going to be goalie." I'm in 3rd grade, and they're a high school hockey player. I said, "No, I'm not going to be goalie. Well, we'll get some pads for you." They put cardboard on my shins and on my chest protector.
Oh.
They gave me a baseball catcher's mask,
Okay.
a first baseman's glove, and a stick, and started firing slap shots at me. And then I was taking them off my shoulder and off whatever, and I started whining a little bit. And I still remember my old brother says, "You have a glove and a stick, use them."
Oh my, that's his advice. That's great coaching right there, right? Yeah, you have all this stuff, use it.
I think I took that cardboard off and went in the house.
Oh man, yeah, that reminds me, and I don't know if you know this movie, but the Happy Gilmore, where he goes into the batting cage and takes all the baseballs off his chest and says 364 more days to. Yeah, that's what that's reminding me of, Riley. Well, that's very cool. That's a cool story. So we're in Minnesota.
We went to school in Williams. I was born in Baudette.
Okay.
My dad worked at the Marvin Window Factory in Warwood.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Way up there on the border, huh?
up in the sticks.
Yeah, Lake of the Woods area. That's a very pretty area up there.
We're only about 6 miles away from Lake of the Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've made those drives a couple times. My wife is from Bemidji, Minnesota, and I think there was one day she just says, "Let's go, get in the car, and let's go up to Baudette or something." And I'm like, "What? Why? Yeah, that's even further north." That was my comment. But when we went up there, just driving through there, it's a beautiful country, beautiful up there. If anybody has a chance to go visit that up there.
Yeah, it was.
So what brought your family to Wolford?
Well, my folks are originally from there.
Oh, okay.
And we had moved there, and I think they were there 15, 16 years.
Okay.
And then moved back
Okay.
to Wolford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh, cool. What'd your father do for a living?
Well, he was part-time farmer and part-time pastor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. There's 2 combos, right?
Yeah.
Farmer and pastor. So grows food and then shepherds the flock, right?
Well, it was a pretty small flock.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get that. So was your mom a stay-at-home mom, or she have a job or anything?
Well, there was 12 of us kids, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa, 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was no out-of-the-house job for mom.
Oh, yeah. I have one right now, and I don't know how. Power to you guys that used to be able to do those things. Well, it does exist still. But so, how is that having 12 or 11 siblings?
I thought it was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's always someone to play a game with.
I bet you.
Didn't matter what kind of game.
Right? And in terms of, were you the middle, the end?
I'm about in the middle.
Right in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have what's your youngest sibling? How old are they right now?
50.
50, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mom must have, your family had to be so busy for a long time there.
It was like clockwork.
Yeah.
It was like every year and a half.
Yeah.
2 years, there was another baby coming along.
Wow.
Yeah. I still remember when the last youngest sister was born.
Yeah.
Us kids didn't even know mom was pregnant.
Really?
All of a sudden, one morning, she wasn't there.
Wow.
Where's mom? She's in the hospital. Is mom sick? No, she's having a baby. Oh, okay. Wow. That was about it.
Strong woman, man.
Yeah.
Man, your doctor probably was part of your family at one point. Just how busy he was with it, right?
Yeah.
Or she, I'm sorry, he or she. Wow. So obviously everybody helped on the farm probably, huh?
Yeah, and we were on a dairy farm for a while, and there's tons of work there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had your own little army.
It was just fun having, you always had a next older brother or sister, next younger brother or sister that always wanted to, come on, let's go play.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you did you have more brothers or more sisters, or is it kind of even?
6 of each.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is like a perfect mathematical thing here.
Yeah. People used to ask my dad once in a while, they say, well, how many kids do you have anyway? Let's see, I have 6.5 dozen.
Wow. And is your I'm sorry to, is your mom and dad still around or no? Okay. How long have they been passed?
It's been since 2013.
13 years?
Since 2013.
Oh, since 2013. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So almost 10 years this year.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Well, I bet you they'll never leave you. And they left around a legacy, I guess, in certain ways, huh? The Hochstetler legacy. Well, that's very cool. I never knew that about you. And for people that don't know you and me and, how our relationship is, Rollie is my next door neighbor. I remember, when we moved in and you told me you were a VCSU alum, and I said, well, that's pretty cool. And which sport did you play? Basketball. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I got to watch everything I do now. I got a VCSU basketball alum living within 10, it has to be 10 feet between our houses. Like, that's how close we live together.
Yeah.
And hopefully I've been a great neighbor to you.
Well, I'm trying to keep up on the mowing.
Well, that's not my fault. That's Preston, as our other neighbor. I call it, that's Preston's fault because he mows it about twice a week, and I'm always going, I got to get out there and mow, and I bet you're doing the same thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
A little shout out to their Preston Jensen. He'll probably be bothering me about that here soon. But let's get into how you came to Valley City State. Who was the coach at the time, and how did you come about coming to Valley City State as a men's basketball player?
Well, I wasn't recruited.
Okay.
I missed my whole sophomore year of high school basketball. I broke my wrist and I broke my foot in practice. I broke my wrist on a flying saucer behind the snowmobile, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a story we can come back to. I should write that one down. But
Coach wasn't real happy about that. And I got the cast off, and I went to practice.
Tell me your older brothers weren't a part of this one too.
Of course they were.
So we got the hockey situation. Now we got the flying saucer situation. I'm guessing your brothers were probably a little like, it's a Rollie day. Let's go get him.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I missed my sophomore year, so I really didn't get to play a lot until I was a junior in high school. Okay. And then I started growing a bit, so started filling out, and that helped a lot.
Right.
Because I was pretty short.
Okay.
And so I had a good junior and senior year. A good senior year.
Okay.
And we had a good team. We were ranked 7th in Class B pretty much all year. Okay. We went 24-4.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, and we only lost one game on our home court, and that was to Belcourt. And they were Class A. Oh. Back then. Okay. And that's the only game we lost on our home court.
Oh, so but you see how you remember that one, right?
Yeah. And we almost got them.
He almost did?
Yeah.
Obviously they were pretty good at the same time.
They were tough too, yeah.
Yeah. Did they, how would I say this, in Class A go the distance in any way? Do you remember?
I don't remember what they did because that would have been not a normal game scheduled for us, you know, or them.
Sure.
I think picked it up just to fill in a blank.
And your senior year would have been 1982, or is it 1981?
High school was 76.
It was 76. Oh, okay. All right.
College was 82, yeah.
College was, that's when you graduated. Yeah, that's when you graduated. I'm sorry. I was thinking you started in 82 for some reason.
Hugh Welsh was my high school coach.
Hugh Welsh. Okay.
His father Don, I think is his name, was a professor at this college, a history
Okay.
professor.
Ooh. Okay.
And he was I think he played college basketball,
Okay.
but that was his first job out of college, was at Wolford.
At Wolford.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we played a full court game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So up and down, press.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from my all the stories I hear about you as a player, Rollie, is that you were up and down, fast, and athletic, like a road runner. Is the best way to describe it. Is that kind of what your game was?
It was a long time ago, but yeah, I could beat most people down the floor.
There
yeah.
you go. There you go. Yeah, let them hear it, man. Let them hear it. You gotta brag about it a little bit. I heard there was
Well,
you were really.
I never lost any crushers, I'll tell you.
There you go. There you go. I was kind of the same kind of guy, and small, quick, never stop moving, that type of guy. And I think there was a couple times the coach would look at me and says, "Listen, dude, like you have to stop at times, evaluate the game and understand the game a little bit." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I just like to run."
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool to hear. So, when you got to Valley City State, who was the coach at the time?
Daryl, well, actually, the coach that was here when I came down to look at the campus, I came with another kid from Wolford.
Okay.
His name was Jeff Erickson. He was 6'5" and very good ball player.
Okay.
He was on my team, and he was part of the reason we were good when we were in high school.
Okay.
He could shoot. He could post up. He had jump hooks. He had the whole game.
Wow.
In fact, he might have set the all-time record at Wolford for most points in the game.
Wow. Well, how much was that?
Like 51.
Ooh,
something like that. Yeah.
That's nice.
But he was a good ball player, and he had younger brothers that were tall like him too. So there was one of them coming along every 2 years. So.
Okay.
And then there was a Mitzel family on that had big guys, 6'3",
Okay.
6'2",
Okay.
and they were all ball players.
Okay.
So we had a little thing going there with those three families, us and those two families. So
Very cool.
But anyway, graduated in '76, and I just came along. He was coming down to the campus.
Mm-hmm.
They were recruiting him.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me, grab your tennis shoes, come along with me.
Mm-hmm.
So went down with him and jumped in with the guys and played. And
Yeah.
coach come over and said, you want a scholarship?
That's how, honestly, I don't think I've had an experience like that as a coach yet, but man, that's a coach's dream. When somebody walks into your gym and like, whoa, there's a diamond, right? There's a diamond in the rough, and we haven't really figured this out yet, and it's in my gym, and I get to keep this a secret.
Yeah.
So you were the diamond in the rough.
Well, but that coach, I'm trying to remember his name. He ended up coaching at Mayville too.
Okay.
Jerry. Anyway, he left.
Okay.
So then Daryl Anderson came in as the coach.
So you were under Daryl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Daryl didn't like the wide open full court game.
He was a little bit of the half court discipline stuff.
Yeah. So I didn't exactly fit, but
Okay.
I played a lot as a freshman because they were hurting for guards.
Okay.
So I had a good freshman year.
Okay.
Played a lot.
Good.
And then he brought a bunch of transfers in my sophomore year.
Okay.
So I kind of got bumped back a couple notches.
Okay.
But then I played a lot again as a junior and senior. So
Okay.
yeah.
Your experience sounds a lot like mine, to tell you the truth. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, Rollie, but I was recruited pretty heavily to go to I had some options to go to some Division IIs as walk-on type stuff and all that type of thing, but I was really recruited hard by those D3s in Minnesota. And I went to Hamlin University, was told, a lot of good things in the recruiting process of you're our future, this and blah, blah, blah. Played as a freshman off the bench at Hamlin. We were terrible my sophomore year, and I was a starter. Bad. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. And so the coach ended up getting let go. And we brought in a new coach, Barry Wohler, who is Mr. Basketball in Minnesota, and I think like 84, 83.
Mm-hmm.
Played for the Gophers. Great guy. And I went from being a focal point to the guy on the end of the bench, is he still there? That type. And I had to work my way back, and it was an everyday process of regaining because he wanted his guys,
Yeah.
and that's a natural thing for
I
coaches.
had that same battle too.
Right.
Had to really earn my spot back.
Yeah, like Daryl probably had his guys that he felt fit his system, and he recruited them, and
Yep.
I kind of learned from that as a coach is like just remember that there are guys that are currently on your roster that might be better than you think.
Yeah.
And we get that stuff every once in a while. And I went through it a little bit here as a coach when I came in, that those guys that were under Coach K, Coach Kaminsky, that they need their shot too.
Yeah.
And because I went through it as a player and you went through it as well. So
I always looked at that guy that had my spot
right.
and said, "You're not scoring tonight in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let you have the ball tonight in practice."
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of hated each other. But I figured that's the only way I'm going to get my spot back if I shut him down.
Yep. And make coach just start every day going, why aren't you doing what I expect you to do? And it's because of Hochstetler just is doing good things, right? And that again, that just elevates practice too.
Yeah.
So as your experience at Valley City State, you graduated with a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
Which degree was that?
I had a teaching degree.
Teaching?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you pursue that right after college, or?
Yeah, I taught school for 7, 8, 9 years.
Okay.
Something like that.
In Valley City, or?
No, my first job was in Newburgh, North Dakota.
Newburgh.
Up by Minot.
Okay.
West Hope, Newburgh, Surus, up there.
Okay.
And I stepped into a good situation there. They had a really talented team.
Really?
I wasn't the head I was head girls coach.
Okay.
I was assistant boys coach. But they had a longtime coach, Bob Hunsker, who at the time was the winningest coach in North Dakota.
Okay.
And then Eddie Beyer finally beat him out, I think, towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he was a very good coach, and I said to him when I remember the first day I was in there, I said, "Well, what am I coaching?" He says, "You got the girls and your freshman boys." And I said, "Well, what do I got in freshman boys?" He said, "Nothing, 6'9", 6'7". Not kidding you.
That would be a good. There's a start.
He had a 6'9" freshman kid.
Really?
And he ended up moving him to varsity pretty much his freshman year, so I didn't have him all year. But I didn't have to coach at all.
Just because of the length?
Roll the ball out and we'd win by 30.
Yeah. Length matters, doesn't it?
Well, and they had good guards, too. They had a really nice run.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the Mr. Basketballs came out of there, Chris Lamore.
Okay. I recognize that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Basketball in mid-'80s.
Mid-'80s.
Somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were only there for 2 years.
2 years.
But we were in the state championship that second year I was there.
Second year.
Got beat by Linton.
Linton. Okay.
And both teams were undefeated.
Where was the state championship played at that time?
That one was in Bismarck.
It was in Bismarck,
Yeah.
and was it an auditorium or what?
It was in the Civic.
It was in the Civic. So the Civic still exists. Was it back? It was
Yeah.
built back then. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, and was it full?
Yeah, good crowds.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was full, but it was good games and good crowds.
Sure.
They had a kid that hadn't shot a three-pointer all year long.
Mm-hmm.
Made the game winner three-pointer
Yeah. It just.
to beat us.
I hate those stories because if you've been in basketball long enough, you have that. Everybody has that kind of experience where you're just like, that guy. It has to be that guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was a good point guard, but he just never shot threes.
Yeah.
And he drained one.
Yeah.
Beat us.
Yeah. And I was a shooter, so when you see another guy that never can shoot, it hits a game-winning shot, probably one of the biggest in his life, you're just like, I've worked at this a lot harder than he has, and he gets the glory. But anyways, well, that's cool. So what did you teach when you were there?
I taught high school shop and
Okay.
phy ed and a little bit of math.
You would have been, yeah, so like we called it industrial tech and when I grew up.
Yeah, it was shop back then.
Shop back then.
Yeah.
I love those classes. You get to go experience and work with your hands and build shelves or whatever, welding, all that type of stuff.
I didn't like it all that much as a teacher. I'd rather teach in the classroom because
Yeah?
shop was a little too wild.
Yeah.
What are those guys doing in the back room? I know they're supposed to be fixing a little engine, but they're not doing that.
Yep, I totally agree. And I was probably one of those kids at one point to be like, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this, but he's not paying attention to
Yeah.
me right now.
He's helping that other kid.
And there's a lot of dangerous equipment during that time.
Yeah, I know.
And you're probably paranoid like every other minute, right?
Yeah, I didn't like it all that much. But
Did you do a lot of the where you sit down and draw? I remember having to draw like it wasn't architecture, but you draw plans like blueprints or anything. Did you teach kids those things?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of drafting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drafting. That's what it's called. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Those were fun times, and that was kind of a classroom thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you enjoyed those
And
parts.
I took some of that at Valley City too.
Okay.
When I was here, so
And do we still have those majors? I believe we do, don't we? It's
industrial arts.
Yeah, I think we do.
I would think you'd have some of that.
Yeah, we still do. Yeah, because I know we have some. I think it's in this building, but maybe they moved it over to the new arts building. But I remember we still have those labs and everything that I can see, and I'm like, it still exists, which is great because I really enjoyed those things in high school.
Well, it's all CAD systems now.
Yeah.
Nobody does drafting by hand.
Yeah, I know.
But
I feel like we should,
yeah,
right?
pencil and a piece of paper.
Pencil and a piece of paper. There's something that is really relaxing about it, and honestly, it makes you use that brain that you need to exercise every once in a while, right?
Yeah, and usually after you write it down, you can find it again.
Right. That is so true.
Put it on there, and you might not find it.
No, I think I missed something the other. My wife is going to enjoy this because I'm going to apologize on the podcast, but everything, my whole life is on this right now, and if I don't put it on this and it doesn't send me a reminder, I will forget about it now, right? Where I think if I would just write it down and then it pops in here. I missed my daughter's parent-teacher conferences on Monday night this week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and that really ticked me off because I've always tried to be not that guy that forgets about those things, and this is the first thing that I've kind of forgotten. And it was Lily's first one. We've never had parent-teacher conferences before, and I missed the first one, and I'm still mad about that. And I'm not. This is not an excuse, but part of that is I depend too much on it now. So
You didn't have to spend a week in the camper, did you?
no, I think it's because we just got the new camper and it's too nice. So she says he might actually enjoy that.
Wouldn't be punishment.
Right. But no, she gave me, bless my wife. She didn't come after me or anything. She just gave me that stern look or that stern talk on the, oh, really, Ryan, on the phone type thing. And I think she let me get away with this one. The next one I think will be, yeah.
Just don't forget your anniversary.
I haven't forgot about that. We just had that September 27th. So I have another year of freedom, of preparation. That's the best way to describe.
I almost forgot one year.
Almost?
My granddaughter rescued me.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
She remembered and I didn't.
Okay, and she just popped it up right in before it happened?
She set it up with a nice meal out somewhere and set the whole ball away and saved me. So
How many years now have you been married?
41.
41. Wow. 41 years.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I think those things are becoming more and more rare, Raleigh.
Yeah.
You
Probably.
don't see people reaching the 40s or the 50-year anniversaries anymore. And that's really cool. That's really cool. And I'm going to have to ask for some advice soon. We won't ask for that on the air, but how do you get to 40 years?
Well, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Yeah, there you
Let's get back to basketball. So, you had a great experience at Valley City State. After that, I've heard a lot of stories that you were the men's league around Valley. So, first of all, did you ever leave? Yeah, you went up and taught.
Yeah.
So, what brought you back to Valley City?
Well, we were 2 years in Newburgh, and then we moved back to Valley. And then I figured if I'm going to keep teaching, I'm going to get some more math.
Okay.
So I can teach math class.
Okay.
I only had a minor in math, so I was going to go back to school. So I took part-time jobs and went back to school.
Okay.
And then we went to Larimore.
Larimore. Okay.
For 3 years.
Okay.
And I coached boys up there.
Okay.
And they had a good team the first year, and then they graduated a bunch of guys that were pretty good athletes.
Okay.
And didn't have much the next 2 years, so we really struggled. But
Sure.
and then came back from Larimore, and I taught part-time in the Valley High School system and coached some 8th graders and some freshmen and stuff like that. So I even coached a couple of years at the college.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What years were that?
Westland was here.
Oh, Westy. Yeah. I know Westy very well.
Now that was interesting.
Yeah.
I got some stories about him.
He's a fiery guy.
I'm not sure I want to tell them all. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Westy is a fiery guy. He went. I played against Westy. He was at Bethel as an assistant coach.
Oh yeah.
And then my senior year at Hamlin, he was the head coach at Bethel University.
Yeah.
Very fiery. I coached, and then I did a lot of his summer camps at Bethel. I worked those with him. Very energetic and.
I still remember sitting on the bench. I'm his assistant, and the game's going up and down. I thought the game was going okay, and he just wouldn't sit down ever.
No, Westy
And
wouldn't.
always hollering, and I'd tug on the back of his jacket. He'd turn around. What? I said, "Just sit down a while. Everything's okay."
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't. Then he'd just go right back to it. So
Really?
okay.
I played summer ball with his son, Bjorklund. Yeah, I think no, not Bjorklund, not his son. I'm sorry, his head coach, the coach he worked under at Bethel. I played with his son. That's who it was. So that's what I remember. But I do remember he had a boy, and I can't remember what his name was. Maybe it was Bjorn Westland, I think it was. That I did some things with, or I played against. I think that's what it was. I played against him in college. But anyways.
It was, they didn't have very good years, those 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Was he only here 2 years?
I think so.
Okay.
They didn't have a full roster.
Okay.
I remember Christmas time practices, there's 8 guys in practice,
Really?
Huh. So I'd have to put the tennis shoes on.
Oh. How'd that feel?
Well, I was still playing amateur ball, so I was.
So you're still
in
playing.
Decent shape. Yeah.
Okay, because
not in college shape, but.
Okay, because if I was to have to put on the sneakers right now, I know Claybo talked to me when he was sitting in your chair about how he was going to try to get me to play this year, and I'm just like, because I feel like a truck has ran over me anytime I go do that now. Like, I'm just like, it's a 2-week process of my body starting to recuperate. So
We'll do it every day for 2 weeks, and then it won't hurt so much.
yeah, it's just 2 weeks of 2 weeks of that stuff. Well, very cool. And let's talk about coaching. Because it sounds like you've had extensive coaching experiences, Rollie.
Yeah.
What do you remember most about coaching basketball?
I actually liked the junior high age the best.
Okay.
Just because I kept it really simple.
Yeah.
I was just fundamentals,
Sure. Just work on those pivots.
ball handling skills and passing and pivots and boxing out and just all the fundamentals. And I didn't even mess with trying to teach them an offense or
Really?
no.
Okay.
I just tried to teach them how to dribble and how to pass, and let them go on their own.
If you can get my guys to do that, you might get paid.
But to me, it was kind of simple. Like, I don't have to get complicated here.
Sure.
A lot of these kids that I had in 8th grade had not played hardly any basketball.
Okay.
So they were really green.
Sure.
And, you can't run a play if you can't dribble, if you can't pass.
So it's kind of like basketball at its purest form, just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you really enjoyed that beginning.
Yeah, and they were, at that age, kids are goofy, and they argue with you one day, and the next day they're telling their buddies what you said, and that you were right, but they'll argue to your face. But,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Right in that start of the teenage area. Yeah. So you really enjoyed the junior high. Do you remember anything else? What was let's just go this route. What was the biggest obstacle in coaching, in your coaching experience? What was the biggest obstacle?
Biggest obstacle? Don't know
Yeah.
what that would be. My limited brain?
There's days too on that. Rollie, I think the same way. I'm like, am I that dumb? Could you remember anything that was just kind of like what was the hardest part?
I don't know. Maybe it was the kids that were there just for show and weren't really serious about it. They're kind of lazy, and you had to really push them. And
I deal with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Not so much my current group. When you get into college, everybody is pretty passionate about basketball, but I really struggled with the goofiness sometimes, where just you were probably a very serious basketball guy. When you came in between the lines, it was competition at its highest, right? It was no joking around.
Yeah, you went hard.
Yeah, right.
You went as hard as you could go.
But then there's always one of those guys that is just kind of loosey-goosey and just, I'll get up and down when I want to and all that type of. I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
Just watching that because
it was the same in the classroom though too. I mean, the bump on a log kid who didn't want to do anything was the hardest one to teach.
Right.
The one with too much energy, you could deal with that.
Yeah.
You could tone that down, but you couldn't get that bump moving.
Yeah.
So.
I could never understand, and I still don't to this day. And I'm not saying that they're bad people or any of those things. I can't look at a person that's not going hard in basketball and going, what's wrong? Like, I struggle to see their side of it. You know what I mean? Like, I really do. It's like, why not run hard or why not do those things? And again, it's a problem with me as a coach because it makes me kind of start going a little wary.
Well, I had back to Bob Hunsker at Newburgh.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot.
Okay.
He was a real patient coach.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd been there a lot of years, and he had the trust of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first day of practice I think it was my second year there, when we knew we were good.
Mm-hmm.
And this one of the guards, Steve Hall was his name, quicker and snot, little kid, and could really play defense. He didn't score that much, but boy, he was really quick, got a lot of steals and stuff. At the beginning of practice, he was dinging around. I suppose he was so overexcited to be playing again.
Mm-hmm.
And coach told him to settle down, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, this is going to be interesting. I wonder what he's going to do. So he blew the whistle, and he got everybody together, and he said, you guys go take a water break. And they were looking at him like, we just started practice.
Mm-hmm.
No, you heard me. Go take a water break. And he says, Steve, come on over here.
Mm.
Puts his arm around him. Steve, you're a really good player, and you'll probably be my starter. But I don't think you're ready to listen. He said, why don't you just shower up and go home? And then if you want to play tomorrow, you come back, you'll be ready. But if not, you can just turn your stuff in. And I'll talk to your dad later. Well, that kid walked out of there like, oh, man.
Wow.
Went home. All the other kids come back. Where's Steve?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Everybody got the message, and he never had to.
Never again.
He never had to get on him again, though.
Yeah, those are great stories, and I don't know today with the high school the new environment in high school basketball. I don't know if that could be done anymore. You know what I'm saying? First of all, the first thing that you kind of said about the coach is that he had the respect of the community, right?
Right.
And it's really tough now because let's just say I forget the player's name that you were talking about. Steve. Let's just say Steve goes and complains to his mom or dad. Mom or dad calls the superintendent or the athletic director.
Well, that was the advantage Coach Hunsker had.
He was.
Knew mom and dad, and he knew they weren't gonna object.
Right.
He knew they were 100% behind him.
Yep.
So he had no problems there.
He was already and that's where it gets really interesting nowadays, because I hear some horror stories out there of things that get back to the athletic director, and not all of them. How would I say this? Like, the coach isn't innocent. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
Like, there's some, I would say, 30% of the time or so, the coach actually, he was in the wrong, right? But those situations like you're saying, where that's a great coaching experience in my opinion. But sometimes those get construed to a new level of like, he's bullying my kid or something like that, and he singled out my kid, sent him home, made him look, embarrassed him, that type of stuff. And I'm just like, I hearing those stories, I'm like, I just wish it could be like that again. Does that make sense?
Well, for one thing, you don't have mom and dad all the time.
Right.
You got one or the other.
Right.
So
that's another thing.
That's tough.
Right.
So, I don't know. And it's kind of old school, but things were different back then that way.
Yeah.
Family-wise.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're totally right. The nuclear family. Yeah. That's just what was the popular thing, and it was that way. Like most of the time.
It was that way.
Yeah. So these modern coaches, the coaches that are coaching now, they go through a lot of different things than back then. I'm blessed to be in a college situation where mom and dad aren't, how would I say this, they're involved, but I have the ability, as long as my athletic director gives me the ability to say, I'm not talking with you about playing time or those things. Now, if I was to abuse one of my players in a wrongly way, I would fully expect a parent to be fully involved. And that's college basketball. Because there's a lot of things that are involved in college basketball that's different in a high school situation.
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, college hoops, there's another kid ready to step up.
Yeah.
Right? In high school, there might not be another kid available.
Right.
So you got to deal with that problem that you got. So college, you can say, well, you can take a break and we'll play this guy a while.
Right. Well, let's talk about, I know you said you really liked the junior high part. So what did you, in coaching, besides that, coaching the junior high team, was there any particular part of coaching that you really enjoyed when you were coaching?
Yeah, actually, I enjoyed practice almost more than games. Because, you're right in there, hands-on with those kids, at that age.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to teach them, trying to show them. Mm-hmm. I guess at that age, I did a lot of showing them how to play. Mm-hmm. Rather than me telling you, let me show you how to do that. Mm-hmm. And some of them would get it right away, and some of them wouldn't. And, that one year, the 8th graders, you might remember some of these kids. Benefeld kid.
Yeah. Yep.
We only lost one game that year.
Okay.
With the 8th graders, we had a pretty good team that year.
I didn't know you coached that team.
But we only had 8 guys.
Okay.
So practices were kind of tough.
Sure.
You're going 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 a lot.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you. So you didn't get to go up and down very much unless it was 4-on-4 up and down?
Right.
And I'm, just thinking about only having 8. I have 16 right now, and I'm lucky to have 13 available. So just going through what you're thinking about, did you have some days where you had only 5 or 6?
Yeah, every once in a while, yeah. Somebody was sick or whatever. So
what would you do on those days?
More shooting and more,
skill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was limited what you could do.
Right. So. Yeah. But that was a fun year for you.
It was, yeah. It was a fun year. But Jamestown came in with a super good 8th grade team and kicked our butts. But
Who was on that team? Do you know the
That would have
names?
been the kid who plays for SU.
For SU? Bo Scumberg.
Yep.
And was Walters on the team too?
No.
No. Okay. Mason Walters.
Aren't they a year apart? Different?
I can't remember.
I
I think you're right.
I don't think Walters, but Scunberg was.
Okay. Walters was a year younger.
And he lit us up in 8th grade.
Yeah. Bo did.
Yeah, for about 40.
Yeah. Broden. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Is it Broden or is it Bowden? I think it's Bowden.
Bowden.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I just call him Scumberg. So, and he's supposed to be, I think, their best player this year, prediction-wise. He's supposed to be their top guy because Grant, Nelson kid, went to Alabama.
Oh, okay.
That's where he's going to be. And I'm guessing, from what I've been hearing, is a lottery pick in the NBA after this year. So,
Ooh.
yeah, he's definitely. I mean, I remember watching him as a sophomore in high school, in the summers and all those things, and he's come a long ways, man. It's pretty ridiculous of what he has become. I mean, when you watch him now.
I haven't seen him play much, but a little bit. Tournaments. Yeah.
So you really enjoyed practice, which is awesome as a coach. I'm the same way. I'm not sure my guys are. But like every day I go to practice, I feel at home. Like that is where everything else in the world just kind of gets pushed off to the side, and I am now focusing just on in between these lines and in these doors, and nothing else enters my mind. Like whether or not I've had some things at home in regards to my house breaking down. We talked about that. My floor got flooded. That doesn't even creep in, where the minute that I walk out of that gym, all of a sudden the first thing that creeps in is, how is my floor at my house?
Yeah.
So kind of your sanctuary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way I thought of practice. Like, okay, I got this gym, I got these kids for this hour and a half, 2 hours, and leave me alone, everybody else, and we'll have some fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So we've talked about some names that have influenced you in your time. Who would you say is in your basketball or life situation has been very influential to you, for you to become what you've become?
Well, my high school coach I thought he was an excellent coach.
Okay.
He worked us very hard.
And what was his name again?
Hugh Welsh.
Hugh Welsh, yep.
And he ended up then going from there to a couple other high schools, and he ended up coaching at Lake Region.
Okay.
And then he went to School of Mines.
Oh, okay.
And I actually reffed some ball games when he was coaching.
Oh, that's got to be interesting.
Well, the very first game I reffed when he was coaching was at Jamestown.
Okay.
And
I'm going to look him up just real quick.
Hugh Welsh,
Yeah.
I don't think he's coaching anymore. I think he finally retired. He coached for a lot of years.
Okay.
And he was a real successful coach.
Because I think, he was there for a long time, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Welsh, Mines.
But anyway, there's a 3-man crew reffing, and I'm over on the side by the bench. Kid shoots a deep corner 3, and the other kid got up underneath him and didn't let him get back to the floor.
Okay.
And so I called the foul, and it was on Welsh's kid.
Uh-huh.
And I knew it was coming.
Okay.
I got to go report that foul.
Sure.
And I got to be right near him.
Okay.
So I went over there and reported it, and the whole time they're shooting the free throws, he's in my ear, and he's tall,
Okay.
and he is basically letting everybody in the gym know what he thought of that call.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was out loud where everybody could hear it. And I stood there by him. I let him go. After a little bit, the free throws about done. I looked up at him. I said, "Are you done?" He says, "Yep, I'm done." And that was good. They were good. And I knew it because I had him for a high school teacher, and he was that way. The first time a kid got out of line in high school, he'd just jump all over him in front of everybody.
Wow.
He's setting an example,
Yeah.
He was going to see if I could handle it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, he was a veteran, right? Yeah. He was a vet. I've got him here. He served as the head coach of the Hard Rocker basketball program for 19 years, 1986 through 2005.
Yep.
And how many times did you ref him during that time?
3, 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was the old DAC 10 days. Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, he was at Lake Region Community College in North Dakota, where his teams won 194 games in 8 seasons. That's a pretty good.
My younger brother played for him at Lake Region.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Hugh Welsh. Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people know that name at a very high level here. So.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. Anybody else that you can remember that influenced you in different ways?
Well, Anderson did.
Darryl.
In a lot of ways. It was different.
Mm-hmm.
Different system and different way of playing, but his practices were way slower than my high school practices.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted, I wanted to go,
Mm-hmm.
Why are we standing around talking? Let's play.
Mm-hmm.
But he was fundamentally a good coach.
Okay.
He pounded the fundamentals.
Okay.
V-cut, V-cut, V-cut.
Uh-huh.
Don't ever cut somewhere until you take that V-cut.
Really?
He pounded that into us.
Okay.
That kind of stuff, fundamentals, yeah.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time talking about controlling the boards and,
Yeah.
A lot of it was talking, and I wanted to play.
Yeah, my practices are the opposite. It is go all the time, and for an hour and a half at least of just next drill. We got to work on this, and this, and
Yeah.
they get about a minute break in between.
That's the way Welsh was in high school. He timed everything.
Really?
He timed water breaks.
Yep, I'm the same.
He timed, and he had it on his schedule, and he went 10 minutes, boom, and we're on to the next thing, and and I like that. He was really, and he was smart. He would tell us before the game how many points we had to score to beat that other team.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so like he would, let's just say we're walking into play Mayville right now. He'd tell you we need 84 points to win this game.
Or you're not going to beat them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he have like any formula for that or anything?
He went off of percentages.
Okay.
He got their stats.
Okay.
And number of shots you put up.
He probably looked at the number
and-
of possessions.
And he would tell us that too. You better shoot 80 shots tonight.
Okay.
Or whatever. He had the shots down. Because then he knew our percentages, and that'll get us that many points. And, so he was pretty sharp that way.
So he gave you goals, like he gave you point goals for the team, and then he gave you, performance goals in certain ways.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I never have thought about how many shots you need to take to win a game. Like I never have told the player, yeah, you need to take 20 shots this game for us to win.
Well, he was doing it in terms of the team. I don't know if he got down to the individual.
Okay.
But in terms of the team, he'd say, as a team.
This is how many possessions we need.
Yeah, he knew our averages. He knew our free throw percentages. And he knew, and more often than not, he was right.
We do that a little bit with turnovers. We need to force this amount of turnovers to win this game.
Yeah.
And that was very beneficial for us in the last 3 years because our guys really view those things as very important for our system to be successful. It needs to be 15-plus turnovers forced.
Yeah.
And they really buy into that.
I think Anderson used to say every turnover is 1 point.
Okay. That's interesting. Every turnover is 1 point. I like that.
Because you've taken away their opportunity and you've had your opportunity.
Okay, yeah.
So on a 50% basis,
Yeah.
every turnover is a point.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that one. And yeah, I'm glad I take things away from this, Raleigh, and then I get to come back to it after because it's recorded. And I say, what was that again that we were talking about? And I get to rewatch it and go, yeah, that's the one. And I'll be sitting down with practice plan and going, okay, how can we work this into this and all that stuff. That's good stuff.
I picked a kid 3 times in a row in Jamestown once, playing in Jamestown. Same kid, me and him. And I knew what he was going to do, and I picked his pocket 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
3 layups in a row.
Okay.
Anderson calls timeout. He said, we got to slow this game down. This is going too fast. Put me on the bench.
Oh, yeah. No, I am the total opposite like that. And I've been in those kind of situations too where there's just certain styles of basketball that you play and you're just like, yeah, like he has a certain view, but yet a player fits a different thing. And I've always tried to, as a coach, to develop my system every year around the strengths of players.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do because every year's a new year, and you just feel like, man, I really wish this guy who's been here for 3 years would really kind of just figure out. We'd have some consistency in what we're doing, and all that stuff. But nowadays, it's just every year's a blank sheet. How much time?
1 minute warning.
Oh, 1 minute warning. We are, see, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, Rollie, for this last minute, I mean, is there anybody that you want to give a little shout out to or anything like that from Valley City State or anything? And
Well, if I start naming names, I'll leave some guys out.
yeah, ex-players, teammates.
John Heinrichs, I'd like to say hi to him.
Hi, John.
We call him Hondo.
Hondo?
Yeah.
All right.
He was like Havlicek. He never stopped moving.
Never stop moving.
Yeah. He was from out west. Steele, I think.
Steele, North Dakota.
Yeah. Good
Cool.
ball player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played with you here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He was just all around good player. He's a little taller than me and probably a little better shooter than I was, but
Sure.
I was better penetrator, passer maybe, but
Sure.
anyway, we had fun together. Yeah.
Well,
Tim Kraft,
Tim Kraft.
he played on our team. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Tim was competitive and a really strong runner. He was actually like first in the conference in the 400 in track.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, those are cool names. I have to shut up shop here, but I really appreciate it. And we're going to try to do this again, just letting you know, because I know there's more stories in there. But we'll give you some time away from me and all those things. But I really appreciate you sitting down. I think your teammates and past Valley City State people are going to really look forward to listening to this conversation. So thank you, Rollie.
Cool.
It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah, it was.
Just made for earning. Who are they really serving? I want big smoke. Wolfing on the net, but up in person, they got strep throat. Here to make a lot of threats, but they don't never step though. Yeah, I'm a believer, by my dollars feel like Creflo. They gon' say that I